good morning. My name is Zawani binti Zakaria and my entry number is 286401, and today I'm going to present about my research paper, which is Factor Influencing Household Expenditure on Food During COVID-19 in Malaysia. The abstract of this paper is to explore about the household spending during COVID-19, and the results are done by analyze the data based on the questionnaire. So for the keyword in this paper is household expenditure, COVID-19 pandemic, household income, perspective of price, size of household, ethnicity, financial and wealth, education level, policy, and OLS method. So moving on to the chapter 1, which is introduction. Background of the study. First cases in Malaysia start 25 January 2022 and keep increasing day by day. Then government start to implement new rules and policy, which is RMCO and SOP. COVID-19 affect household income, especially B40 group, and the price of raw materials and food also increases. So for the problem statement, Department of Statistics Malaysia stated that household expenditures spending starting 2019-2022 rose at a faster pace than their monthly income, with 16.3% expenditure on food. Therefore, the major component of household budget is on the food. There are 3 research questions for this paper. The first one is, are there any difference between spending in female and male? Second, how do the determinants of spending influence household monthly expenditure on food? And the third one is, what are the policy implications applied during COVID-19 to help household, especially on expenditure on food? So, scope of the study focus on the factor influencing household expenditure on food during COVID-19 and focus on households in general. Next is significance of study. First is shows the factors influencing expenditure on food, and the result will be foundation of this study. Next is chapter 2, which is literature. There are theoretical study that use Engel's law, consumer behavior theory, and market discrimination theory. For the empirical study, we have a Malaysia study, which is food expenditure of the poorest decade, expected vulnerability, and counterintuitive indulgence. For the method, there are 2 common methods used in the previous study, which is survey and multiple regression. For the literature gap we have is lack of comprehensive if only refer to Engel's. Moving on to the chapter 3, methodology. For data description, I have observation and question followed by the variable operationalization table, which show in which question the certain variable was asked. Followed by model specification, which is include 2 model, which is linear model and log. The last part for this chapter is method table, whereas to answer question 1, method is summary statistic, question 2 OLS estimation table, and question 3 based on the recommendation on the finding. So the important part of this paper is chapter 4, which is finding. So next is summary statistic table. Here we can see there are 3 panel, which is panel A, panel B, and panel C. For the panel A, we have female and male. For the panel B, we have female from the various type of financial and wealth level, which is female B40, M40, and T20. For the panel C, we have male B40, M40, and T20. Here we can see on the table that there are differences between female and male on the household expenditure on food, where male spend more on food compared to female, where male spend mean around 1,624 ringgit, meanwhile female spend around 1,375.71 ringgit. So it might be due to the biggest factor that contribute to the changes of the expenditure on food, which is monthly income. Here we can see that on the table that male get the more higher income compared to female, while male get 8,480 ringgit, meanwhile female get 5,465.71 ringgit only. Now let's see panel B and panel C. Here we can see that female B40 and female M40 spend less on food compared to the male B40 and male M40. For the female B40, they spend around 1,102.50 cents, meanwhile male B40 spend around 1,345.45 cents. For the female M40, they spend around 1,721.43 cents. Meanwhile, for the male M40, they spend around 1,881.82 cents. For the female T20, they spend more compared to male for T20, where female T20 spend around 2,000, meanwhile for the male T20 they spend around 1,700 only. So for the income of female from the various of financial and wealth, they still show that they earn less income compared to male from the various type of the financial and wealth. But for the female T20, they spend on food more than male T20, but somehow their income are less than compared to male T20. So we choose income for the p-value. Here we can see that the value for income is 0.010. That means it's less than 0.05. So we reject hash now. And here we can see that income is significant and able to use as the independent variable for the household expenditure. For the Malay ethnic, the p-value for the Malay ethnic is less than 0.05, which is 0.019. So it also shows that Malay ethnic is also significant for the household expenditure on food. So for the rest of the independent variable, for sure is not as statistically significant. For example, for the size of household, education level, financial and wealth, and for the price perspective. Next, we have OLS estimation table, and there are two models, which is M1 and we on to the M1, which is Lilly model. In this section shows that there are negative relationship between price perspective, dummy before T and post-secondary education. For example, if the price perspective is decreased, the household expenditure tend to increase. For income, if income increased by Rm 1 ringgit, household expenditure on food will increase by Rm 0.039 ringgit. And average ceteris paribus for household size, if household member increase by 1%, the expenditure on food tend to increase by 50.60%. Then for Malay ethnic, it showed that the monthly expenses on food will tend to be about Rm 198 ringgit 95 cents higher than other ethnic groups. So for the F-test p-value is 0.086 and the value is bigger than 0.05, then do not reject hash null and can be concluded that independent variables are not statistically significant to explain the dependence variables. For the R-square, the value of R-square is 0.182. This can be interpreted that changes of 6 variables can explain about 80.2% of the changes in Y. The rest of it might be another factor. So moving into the second model, which is lockdown model. For the second model, it same goes to the first model for the price perspective before T group and post-secondary education. Where for the price perspective, if the price perspective decrease, the household expenditure on food tend to increase. For income, if income increase by Rm 1 ringgit, household expenditure on food will increase by 15 cents. For Malay ethnic, it shows that their monthly expenditure tend to be about 11 cents higher than another ethnic. For the F-test, p-value is 0.017. It shows that it less than 0.05. Then do reject hash null. Therefore, the independent variables are statistically significant to explain the changes of food expenditure. For R-square value is 0.245. It means that changes in all 6 variables, about 24.5%, can explain the changes in the household expenditure. The rest might be another factors. The last chapter is chapter 5, conclusion. For this study, the data was collected among the Malaysian household and there are 60 sample size. Next, by combining household expenditure with gender can answer the research questions stated in the studies. The descriptive analytics point to female and male expenditure on food. Meanwhile, the OLS estimation show the explanatory variable contribution toward the household spending on food and the relationship between all of the variable. However, there are policy implications for this study, which is some suggestions are pointed by the household, and one of it is introduce food bundle for who need it and set the ceiling price for food in control the price in the market. These two policy implications can be continued not only during COVID. There are several limitations for this study. The first one will be the small number of sample size and focus on general, not on certain area due to the limitations stated. I hope future study can use the large size sample and focus on the certain area to make sure the data and the result more significant, for example, urban and rural area. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you for watching.